Words, words, more words. Words of hope and words of inspiration. Words of wisdom. Words of hurt, of pain. Words that carry stereotypes and bitterness. Words that calm and smooth and soothe. Words, so many words. But we also need more words. Will words build trust? Will words bring healing and reconciliation? As an alternative to the words, I'm especially grateful to those who have brought art and images to this conference, such as the piece of artwork that Edgar Heap of Birds and 50 of you constructed on Wednesday, the wonderful exhibit that Jamie Isaac curated at the Winnipeg Art Gallery, those who brought drama and music and theater to this conference. These are forms of communication that do indeed reach beyond words. Like you, I have many things in my heart, but I won't even try to say them now. The organizing committee for this conference invites you to continue to reflect and to send us your reflections over the coming weeks. What happened here that was significant for you? What insight have you gained about your journey? What are the next stepping stones on pathways to reconciliation? As Scott said, what do you see as the next step that you will or must take? Please feel free to send these to us. It might be in the form of an article, a page from a diary, a poem, a drawing, or a piece of art. And we'll try to compile this, and we'll get it up on the conference website, because it becomes an ongoing record of our time here together this week, but also continues the conversation, builds towards the kind of networking that Stephen spoke about so eloquently this morning. We'll be sending you an email next week with details about that, where to send it and so forth, so you don't need to worry about those now. The first words that I spoke on Wednesday evening to open this conference were, thank you. Thank you for caring enough to gather from far and wide. Thank you for being part of this journey of seeking together pathways. So on behalf of my co-chair, Rai, on behalf of the organizing committee, I just want to say thanks a whole bunch. And as we conclude this particular footstep on the pathway, three things will happen now in fairly short order. I'm going to first of all invite our host here at the University of Winnipeg, Annette Trimby, to come. I'm then going to invite two survivors and wise people to come and close this in a good way. And then we will move out to the front lawn of the university by Portage Avenue for a round dance and a traveling song. So, Dr. Trimby, if you would come, please. Many of you have seen her here. She's been here consistently throughout the conference. If you know anything about a president's schedule, for her to make that kind of time for any kind of conference like this is truly remarkable. Thank you. Please, Annette.
Thank you very much. I'm a survivor of 12 years at the residential school, beginning in 1948. And I want to say something. I want to thank you for providing this opportunity to continue the discussion on reconciliation. One thing I want to say, there's one thing that out of the 94 recommendations, that's our recommendations, survivors. That happened over the 5 years. That's a fact. It didn't come from TRC. It didn't come from the Reconciliation Research Center. It didn't come from any organization. No political entities came from us. And I'm really, I think I'm very appreciative about what you've done here. But you have to remember, there's two factions to this conference. Okay? We have the claimant, and we have the people that have received that claim of discrimination. When I mention this, I see a couple smiles. Please wipe those smiles off your face, okay? Please. I was at residential school for 3 decades, 48, 40, 50, and the 60s. When I sit here, I look at the people I've traveled this journey with, and I can count those people on my hand. So the reason I'm congratulating you, I'm glad you're doing this as a defendant. One recommendation that has not been captured in our discussions over the 5 years is the fact that survivors want to get together and talk about their own journey. There's nothing on that board that suggests that at all. I want to tell you, since October just passed, just in Saging First Nation, we've lost 12 survivors. Do your mathematics. How many of us are left? And then we rejected the idea of saying the closing remarks and also thank you, and also to express that anger. The structures that are in place, they don't look at us with any friendliness. We're survivors. And the old attitude of the churches and the government was, go sit over there, stay on your place. I get very angry. I'm very appreciative of this. I never saw this day that reconciliation would be discussed in this much detail. I just completed a collaborative effort with 7 churches of Western Winnipeg. I think I see a handful of people that participate in that, including the Reverend Stan. Thank you for being there. 7 churches that encompassed about 300 people at every session. Again, I was wondering what was wrong with it. It was wonderful. I wondered what it was. I think in those 300, each session, there was about 3 or 4 survivors. That's horrendous. You know, and you're not, when survivors are not given a spot to make their wishes heard in a major conference like that, they say, oh, here, you've provided a path to reconciliation. I want to tell you, that's bullshit. You haven't really listened. The people from the West, of course, have had an opportunity, the first time ever, to tell their story. I want you to think about that. What's missing on that board? How long are we going to be here? I have love for my fellow survivors. I see them sitting beside me. And there was a couple up there, they have to catch their plane. I don't know how long I'll see these people. And we go on, you know, talking about money. How do we get money to address these issues? For Pete's sake, look at the recommendations. They came from survivors. They didn't come from government. They didn't come from TRC. It came from us. Please, please, take that in consideration when you talk about reconciliation. I don't know how much more I can say, but I think I've expressed to you my frustration, but also my thanks for you as the defendant in talking about reconciliation. Now, please, please, give us a chance. Bring our young kids over here and bring our survivors together. Jimmy Witch.
Well, thank you. My name's Annette Trimby. I just popped in a few minutes ago. I took an opportunity this morning to go meet with another group of people that were talking about reconciliation, the Métis Nation of Canada, and they were here in the city, and so I did that. I'm like the rest of you. I'm kind of overwhelmed with the events of this week. And I know when you talk about survivors, there's survivors, and then there's relatives of survivors and next generation of survivors. And, you know, I was thinking this morning of my brother and his wife and their children, and they are your survivors, for the last elder that spoke. And we talk about factions, and I really hope that part of what everybody leaves with is, you know, we're better together. I know at times we talk about us and them, claimants and defendants, and we have processes in our society that are very antagonistic, and we force people to sit on different sides of the table. But I heard a lot of really warm people talk this week about reconciliation in a variety of ways, very human ways, and I got to go to a very respectful pipe ceremony and learn about the pipe again in a different way. Wab talked about how somebody used the pipe as an example to talk about two parts coming together to create something that's better than each part on their own. So that's really my call to action for everybody here, is to think about how to move forward in a way that is respectful, honors your stories, your real lived histories. And, you know, at the University of Winnipeg, we're trying to do things different, trying to do things better. So I'm not making any apologies for what didn't go right. I am committing to you that we always, after we have these events, talk about what to do better. So I do want to give you a heartfelt thank you for being here 100%, being good listeners. And I just want to thank everybody for all you have contributed. And I want to say sorry. Sorry that some of you have felt that we didn't pay enough attention and respect you in the right way in the last couple of days. Okay, thanks.
I'd now like to invite two survivors, Eugene Arcand and Doris Young, to come and help us close in a good way.
I'm a couple of years younger than Doris, so I'll speak first. No, you're not, she says. I just want to share a few thoughts. I hear what my fellow survivor, Ted, just said. I've also heard the comments of fellow survivors who were here in the conference. In a short 3 days, many of us have relived, been triggered. It's been a rough ride for us the past 3 days. And then on the other hand, I have other young people who are children of who have come up to me and said things like, I don't feel like I belong here. And then on the other side, I see the work of some of the young people who came into this experience blindly out of the goodness of their hearts. So I've seen a lot of mixed feelings. I've seen a lot of antagonistic feelings. I heard anger. I seen tears flow from the four colors of man. Let's take a step back to prior to October 18th. Do you think any of us would have been in this room talking about calls to action and reconciliation if that previous government would have had their way? I think not. The Creator brought us into this event for a reason. And it's to blend those negatives with the positives, to create that better understanding. No one should be above another. And we have a long journey ahead of us as residential school survivors and our families and our communities. And to think that we can do it alone is impossible, because 90% of us can't even tell our children what we experienced without bringing tears to our eyes and anger to them. So I think it's important for those of us that are left here to deliver this message. I agree, Ted, we should be engaged. But we also have to get over that syndrome of having everything done for us. And throughout my travels in Survivorland, I've been to all those places: Cold Lake, Alberta, Waterhead, Saskatchewan, places that nobody else wants to go as a resource person. And I've challenged our survivors, our people, that the syndrome of having everything done for us has to stop, that we have to step up and not allow others to provide those forums for us, but just do it. I truly believe that everybody came here with a good heart. There were some disappointments. There were some challenges. But look at it this way. This is the first time it's been done. It's the first time a lot of this work throughout the different treaty territories in this country has been done. Mistakes will be made, but they're honest, well-meaning, heartfelt mistakes. I've said to you before, on December the 15th, that our National Center of Truth and Reconciliation is an opportunity for us to be parents and grandparents again. You think about it, we're only about 6 months old. We're still in diapers. And this great province of Manitoba has the honor of being the home of this baby. And yet I hear the negative criticisms of it. And we're letting the negative overpower the positive. How many of us want our children raised that way? It takes a community to raise a child. We didn't have that as luxury as residential school survivors. But we have the luxury to learn from it and do it now. Up till now, there's no legacy from the Indian Residential School Settlement Agreement, and we all agree that the perpetrators administered this agreement and re-victimized us time and time again. But what matters is, how do we move forward as a society? I want to comfort those young people that jumped into this circle to organize this event, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous. You've passed it's a rite of passage for you. And we encourage you not to be afraid to continue to take these steps. You weren't beaten, but you were hurt. And we can overcome hurt. The beatings is the part that's hard to reconcile for many of us, both sexually, physically, and psychologically. We all have to be a part of the solution and appreciate one another. We're going to share a dance and some songs by a young person, some young people today. A chance to share DNA from other countries, from other colors of humankind. We're going to do that in the next hour. Let's take advantage and let's think, like the young singer said today to me, and he's going to share with you. Even though we're trying to move forward the best we can, how many of our relatives and our buddies and our schoolmates and our classmates didn't make it out of there? Didn't make it here? That's what it's about. Let's honor them. Let's honor them in a good way. And let's do our best on these calls to action, which in my mind are not recommendations. Bernard Valcourt attempted as the first person to speak about recommendations after the final report was done. There have been 6 justice inquiries in Western Canada along with RCAP. Over 1,000 recommendations that are sitting on shelves. These are calls to action, not only on the federal, provincial, municipal, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit governments. It's a call to action on each of us every day to make a difference, to show a level of kindness, to show a level of leadership. I challenge everyone to cut off this syndrome of doing everything for us, do everything with us. And I agree with Ted. The window of us being around is very short. And us, I'm talking about survivors. We'll be lucky if survivors are around in 20 years' time. And the term genocide seems to intimidate people, and we try and soften it. We try and censor it. We try and sanitize it. And that's got to stop. If we can go and have a banquet at the Canadian Museum of Human Rights, watch our people cry, relive, and have their hearts torn out. We may not have the pictures that they have, but we have the artifacts of corporal punishment at the National Center. And when you see those, it's going to trigger you the same as those awful pictures that you see over there. It's important to understand that this did happen. We've been kind in the graphic nature of what we experienced and how we were punished and the tools that were used in that punishment. On the other hand, we have people who've come together to provide an opportunity for consultation and discussion. And it shouldn't be about the settlers, the academics, versus the survivors. We go along that way, we're just continuing to be a part of the system that's put us in the awful predicament that we're in. We want to be part of the solution, for sure, for sure, for sure. We want to be part of implementing the calls to action. But the numbers just don't work out, and we're not going to be here long enough. So we've got to do whatever we can to strengthen and support those that are in this room, have been in this conference. Because from what I've noticed, What I've seen the last 3 days is the enemy was not at this conference. And I think that's the common sense and respect we all had for one another. This was not the place to tear each other up. With that, I'll turn it over to my esteemed colleague on the Survivor Committee to say her piece, and we'll move on.
Okay. He might be taller, but thanks, Eugene. I want to also say thank you to the committee and to all of the participants that took part in the discussions over the last 3 days. There were some very events that made me tearful, and there were some events that made me very happy because so many people have been part of the journey that we're on as survivors. What I didn't see here and was disappointed in was the youth. That we usually try to involve the youth because they really are our future, all of us. And if they're not part of the solution that we're looking for, then we really are missing a big part of the work and the people that we need to walk with us in our journey, in all of us, all our children, and maybe even our grandchildren would have been happy to come and listen to some of our deliberations. So hopefully, that would be my suggestion, is that next conference like this, that there are the youth coming to help us with the work that we're doing. And I want to mention the media, because yesterday I had this interview. I left a session that I was really interested in seeing and listening to, because I had committed myself to talk to this reporter. So I went, and what she showed me was a little vignette that Historic Canada had made. And they were going to air it. CBC was going to air it on Aboriginal Day, June 21st. And she wanted me to comment on it. And it was about this young boy who had gone to residential school and was beaten, and he was found on the railroad track. It's a 2-minute vignette, and she asked me to comment on it. And I was full of, I couldn't even hardly speak. I was taken back again to residential school because it showed beatings of this young boy and the prayers that they were forced to say. And it was a horrible little vignette. And they're going to air it on Aboriginal Day. I couldn't find the words to say how horrified I was. So I said, if you're going to really air this on Aboriginal Day? I said, do you know anything about residential school? And she said, no. And she's interviewing me about this and asking me my comments. I said, Aboriginal Day is a day of celebration for Aboriginal people. We should be, talking about dances and our culture and our songs. I said, children are going to see this on Aboriginal Day aired by CBC. I would be horrified for my grandchild to see that. She's 10, and on Aboriginal Day they show something like that. So, the media, I don't know if there's any media people here, but how totally that's so inappropriate to be airing something like that on Aboriginal Day. She thought it would bring discussion, and but not the right kind on Aboriginal Day. So I wasn't a happy interviewer. I tried to turn the question back to her. You know, like, do you know anything? If this was your child, what would you do? But I guess reporters don't like that. They want to be the ones in control. So, so she, you know, she brought me back to her portion of, or her baseball team. She was the one throwing the ball. So yesterday when I left and went to the art gallery, I tried to be there, but I couldn't enjoy it. I couldn't even hardly eat last night. So some of those things, you know, if people are going to be questioning that it's at the appropriate times and some joyous occasions to it, because I'm glad we're going to do a dance after this, because one of the things that I questioned about all of this was, like, where is those happy things that Aboriginal people like to do? I said, we should be at a square dance, you know? We should be jigging, you know, because after heavy discussion all day, we really need an outlet. We should have a comedian up here making us laugh at the end of the day. You know, things like that are really important. They're really important to us because we go home to bed after days like this with heavy hearts. I heard somebody saying they had a nightmare last night from all the discussions that went on. And that wasn't the intention of the committee, to give us nightmares, you know. I think the intention was to bring us hope and to bring us together. And I'm hopeful that in ways it did happen to many of you. And so I'm happy that I'm up here and to offer a prayer. I did originally say, no, I don't think I want to say the prayer, but you can never refuse tobacco. So in my culture, when somebody says, you either refuse it or not, you know, like if once you take the tobacco, that's your job is to do the request that has been asked of you. So in my prayer, I'm going to ask us all to bring your minds together to the work that we've done here together and the work that we mean and plan to do once we leave here. To think about our youth who are suffering, who are still suffering from lack of identity, and that is the work of Aboriginal people to do that work in our communities. But we can't do it without your support. So we want to think about them. We want to think about those elders that are ill, that have survived residential school. We want to think about the white elders that are here to help us in our journey so that we can walk together and be strong together. We also want to think about the environment that is suffering at the hands of people who want more money from that land. It offends us so much when we see our earth being dug up the way that it is and just left, you know, no healing to it once it's been hurt. I think about Victoria and the Butchert Gardens where it can be done. Flowers can grow back on that land that's been torn up. It can be done, but it's not being done. Only one place in Victoria that I know of. So there's something to think about for all of us, that if we take care of the environment in some way, the rivers, I'd like for us to think about the rivers as well. The rivers and the water are women's responsibility, but we need everybody to work at cleaning up those rivers, the water walks that we go on. If you hear about them, join them. It might be a mile, it might be half a mile. It might be through a prayer that when the women and the men are walking to clean the earth and that land. I'd like to also ask you to think about the animals that are on that land and that environment. You know, the cutest one for me is the otter. So cute, it goes down the grass and into the river. There's my clan, the beaver, who works on rivers and water and land as well. The eagle that flies way above us. All those butterflies that have been destroyed lately because of the change in the environment. And all the birds that we don't see anymore, the singing birds, we hardly hear them. And so, you know, those are the things that I would like us to think of when we say our prayers. And also for all of us here, that we go home, we drive home, we fly home, that we get there safely, and that our communities are in good shape when we get there, and our families as well, our children. So with that, I'd also like to just say that for all of you who don't pray the way that I'm going to pray, that I really ask you to pray in your own way, because that's the respectful thing to do, that we don't all pray in the way that I will be praying. And so I send an invitation for you to think about your own prayers and do that from your own hearts as well. So, mas kami pinasiskan tis nigason amesk ndutem. Thank you. Ninanaskoman anoskagisigag. The pewiteyag. At this wetyagu dauti kagimamapiag. Witeynan. Paminan. Kananimigani geteyeg kagusitseg. Egominani uskatisage. Kawenani tagig. Ega kanuteb mat sitseg. Witi quest taganopmat segani kegonani gogage tutagi tawini egaguesk animagegana goge apachita zeg witi kagenau naskoman mena ninano tagagenau kanepoyag tawiti yag te pewite yag egomino magaten tanimituag te pewite yag. So, Creator, I am asking all of us in our own hearts to be grateful for today, for our lives, for the work that we've done, that it be taken up to the highest order of good thoughts for our Creator to send back down the blessings that we need to do this work. Naskoman. Oh. Hi. That was beautiful. Oh, Lorna. Thank you.
You might as well stay on your feet. We have invited two drums to lead us in the dance, Buffalo Gals and Ray Stevens. Before we go out for the dance, Ray is going to come and lead us in an honor song in memory of those survivors who have gone before us. And then he'll say a very brief word of introduction for the round dance. I just want to say I regret I won't join the circle for the round dance. I hurt my knee a couple weeks ago, and I just can't do that, and that's my regret at this moment. But Ray.
Just for the record, my name is Ray Stevenson. That's my English name. My spirit name is Walking Wolf from the Martin clan. I just recently met one of the elders from northern Saskatchewan, and we talked, and I heard a little bit about today and about our ancestors. And you know what? We have a lot of people that are no longer here with us today that went to residential school. and I thought it would be a little appropriate, and I asked him if it would be okay to acknowledge those who are no longer with us, and he said, absolutely. I see a lot of familiar faces here, and we have a lot of people that belong to the church, and a lot of work has been done with the churches and the traditional ways of life. And the song that I chose to acknowledge those who are no longer with us originally comes from Saskatchewan Creek territory, but we also use hymn 66 words in that song. So for those of you that are familiar with the hymns, that's what that is. And it was also talking with Rise that it's important for us to be able to move forward. One of the things that was shared to me some time ago is that, for us as a people, we're like a bow and we're like an arrow. And for those of you that can see me kind of up here, this is us. And this is, you cannot do anything, but in order for this arrow to go anywhere, he has to use that bow. And when you connect the two and you come back with that bow and arrow, you go back to who you are, where you come from, and your traditional ways of life. That's where you come back to. And then once you let go, there's nowhere else to move but forward. That was shared with me many years ago, and I thought it would be a little bit appropriate to share that with you today. And I learned the song many years ago, and following the song, we will go outside. We will join hands. We will sing. I will sing a round dance. I don't think the girls' drum group is here, the ladies, and if they are, I have not seen them yet. But and if they're not, that's okay. I will do that also. But it's important for us to be united as one. That's one of the things we want to do, not only to have a good time and round dance outside, but to connect as one person, one race of human beings. And to end off that way would be totally awesome. But before we do that, we have to honor those who are no longer with us. I believe we're going to start. It was a little emotional for me to sing that. I don't know. But we are going to assemble outside in the front lawn. And we're going to let the world know in Portage Avenue that, you know what, we're here, we're united as one. And we're going to stand strong as long as that circle. And, you know, we're only as strong as that circle. So when we work together, we keep that circle tight, and nobody leaves that circle once we get that circle made. And that's what makes us stronger, makes us able to move forward better, faster, and more efficient. So with that being said, I will meet you all in the front lawn. Miigwech,